Welcome everybody to the RMIT LSS Legal Research Masterclass for Semester 1 2022. Really excited to see so many of you here tonight. You're in for a real treat tonight. So I've just got an acknowledgement that I want to make before we get started. So I'll read out the official RMIT Acknowledgement of Country. We would like to acknowledge the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nations as the traditional owners of the land on which the university stands. We respectfully recognise elders past, present and future. But as with last night, I would like to add my own acknowledgement that sovereignty of this land was never ceded. This always was and always will be Aboriginal land. This week, I'm particularly thinking about the families and the communities that have been affected by the over 500 Aboriginal deaths in custody since the Royal Commission. Last Friday, it's been 31 years since the report was released, and still no action has been taken. If you can go to menti.com, you can use your phone as well and just pop in the following code. I have just a couple of questions for you before we get started. And the first question I have for you is whether you have attended our legal research masterclass before. We have run it a few times in the past. It's always really, really valuable, but just want to get a sense of where you are with your legal research skills. The next question is just asking you to rate your knowledge of the following. And these are the kinds of things that we're going to be covering tonight. So how to find the information that I need. This is on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being lower, 5 being higher. How would you rate your knowledge of finding the information that you need? Whether a case is still good law, how to note up a case and how to be efficient with research. Really good to hear that you enjoyed yesterday's masterclass, Julianne. Next, I'm just going to introduce our guest speaker for tonight. So Anastasia Stepanovic, she is an expert legal researcher with almost a decade of experience working across law firms and universities. She is the president of the Victorian Australian Law Librarians Association and is now working as the legal librarian at Lantern Legal. Anastasia is genuinely passionate about legal research and thoroughly enjoys teaching and educating others on how to best execute legal research. Anastasia is an absolute gun. I'm really excited to hear from her tonight. So without further ado, I'm going to pass on to Anastasia.
Thank you so much. It's a delight to be back this semester. I think I've been doing this since 2018 with RMIT. So really delighted that you enjoy the sessions and can get a lot out of it. I would like to also ask if you do have questions, feel free to pop it in the chat or to just stop me and unmute yourself and ask the questions. I do know that this is being recorded, so you are welcome to be mindful of that and wait until after. So you do have that opportunity throughout the session. So I'll leave that in your hands and you can either get the clarification there and then or at the very end. And I would like to start before we delve into, your big library subject guide on law here. If you could just spend a minute, get a pen and paper or write it in a text message to yourself. When you see the term legal research, how does it make you feel? I want to give you a minute to think on this, okay? Whether it be, I hate it, I love it, don't know what to think of it. It frustrates me, it annoys me, it's thrilling, adventurous, I don't know. Think of a couple of descriptive words, how it makes you feel initially. So when someone says, oh, you got to do legal research, what comes to your mind straight away? I'm going to give you a minute and I'm going to give you a countdown. Okay, so now that you have that down, you don't need to worry about it, put it to the side. We'll come back to it very, very, very much later. So I guess to begin, the agenda I'm going to go through today is Boolean operators. So what are your search terms really? Like what are the major search terms you need to narrow down your research? And I'm going to highlight these throughout each platform that I take you through. Okay, so it's not going to be, I'm going to sit here and show you everything. You'll have to make notes as you go, so don't hate me. I will send a slide pack after this so you can see what I've put together. So then you can go, oh, that's right, that was that Boolean. But Boolean is so important. And for those of you who may not know the term Boolean, it's simply a term that catches those words, the word and, the word or, the word not, your exclamation points, your quotation marks, or bunny
exclamation point,
as a lot of students call them, bunny ears or brackets. So we're going to go through them. You're going to see them. You're going to see how effective they are to narrowing down the content and getting rid of jargon. Next, we'll go through commentary. It's so important to start there, and I'll show you why. And then we'll go through how to do a legislative note up and a case law note up. Okay, so this is going to be really eventful. Again, stop me at any time. I understand it's very overwhelming, especially when it's something you're not doing all the time. To me, I breathe this underwater, as well as any other colleague of mine that's a legal researcher. We live and breathe this. So if you get stuck, feel free to reach out to me, to your librarians, or any other law librarians you might know. We love helping. It's no secret. We love it. So let's begin with the commentary. So I've got open here across the top. You'll see I've got Westlaw, Lexis, CCH, which is also called IntelliConnect. Weird, I know that it doesn't say the same thing in the search bar there. Then I've got Ostley and Jade. Now, these are the 5 main platforms that you should always have open. Without fail, rule of thumb, always have them open. All right, so from your law library subject guide or your law subject guide here from the RMIT University, if you look to the case and case law tab, you'll notice all 5 databases are here. And this is important for you to go through this platform because you'll log in through university login here. Okay, giving you a quick description of what each one holds. But that's fine because you're going to have 5 of them open anyway, regardless. Get used to me saying this. I will repeat it over and over again. The Fab 5, okay? Think of Enid Blyton, famous author, Fabulous 5, the famous 5. This is it for law, famous 5. If you've got these 5 guys with you, you're cruising. So, as I mentioned, commentary. It is so important to find the right resource for your research. Now, a lot of you may not know this yet. You're starting to come to terms with it, figure out what's what. If you do know what it is, look for your secondary sources on Westlaw, look for your publications on Lexis, and you'll be able to notify and find the right resource you're looking at. So if you're looking for Ford's Corporations Law, that's Bible for Corporations Act, really. That's under the publications list. You'll select view all publications from Lexis, for example, and that'll be within your Lexis list. Now, how do I know that this is a Bible worthy? My whole purpose of showing this quickly is to identify, okay, I know exactly what resource I'm looking for. I'm going to come to the list and select, right, the Australian Corporation Practice, go to the table of contents, work through my table of contents here, either search over the entire book or the entire commentary service. So the difference between a commentary service and a book, commentary is going through section by section, law subject by law subject, and thoroughly describing that topic. And it's giving you highlights there. It's saying, right, this is the relevant legislation, this is the relevant cases. I suggest coming to these first because you don't want to be aimlessly shooting at stuff and thinking, why am I not getting content? Why is it in a different context? You know, you want it under a specific subject setting. What I'm going to do instead is I'm going to just search for this. All right, so we're searching electronic signatures, all right? All right, so I want to find out if anyone recognizes what I've done wrong here automatically. Tell me if I've done something wrong. Or are you happy with what I'm just popping in now? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop this across. Haha, didn't use Boolean. Thank you, Kathy. Yes, I did not use Boolean. So, and I'm going to do the same in here. Notice it's so hard for me to get out of the habit of using Boolean. It's just, it's the end of the day, guys. Forgive me. My spelling's just all over the shop. Right, electronic signatures. I'm going to chuck it into each platform and all right, and do it again here. I'm just going to do as everyone else does, just pop it in and see what happens. Try my luck. Okay, so we have 200 cases in Lexis. We've got 10,000 cases in Westlaw, 20,000 results in Osley. What's CCH saying? CCH is saying, oh, what is that? 15? No, 1,500. So it was 15,000. I was like, that's stupid. So as you can see here, we've gone really broad. We've just gone, right, just see wherever it is, okay? Problem is, with Boolean, if you do not use it in Lexis, Lexis says, oh, well, I haven't found the term signature, but I found electronic, and I think you'll be happy. No, we're looking for electronic and signature. Lexis is the worst platform when it comes to not putting in Boolean operators, because it just says, we'll just willy-nilly it. And yeah, if we don't find signatures or the word electronic, it's fine because you didn't specify it. So just a word of note with Lexis, you need to use your Booleans in this. So I'm going to go across all these platforms now and just pop in my Boolean operators so that we can get a little bit more of a tailored experience. Now, the reason that it is important to use all three platforms, all these platforms is because there's going to be various different results across all of them, and not one platform will actually hold the same thing. Authors actually go up to these publishers and say, I'm exclusively publishing my content with you. And another author will do the same, and they will all bet against each other because law is very competitive, and I know we all know this. And they all go, no, I'm just going to stick with Westlaw. Thank you. They're my provider, they're my publisher, and they will always be my publisher. And someone else will say the same thing about Lexis, and you get different opinions across all these platforms. That is why it's important to use all five, because you're going to get a different outlook across all of them. So going back to our resources, we now have secondary sources, which is where our commentary, law journals are going to be held. They were up at about, I think it was 1,000. We're down to 136 just by using Boolean alone. So that's been effective. Back into Lexis, our secondary sources were about 10,000 as well here. So we're looking at 64. Much more manageable. Looking at our CCH results, if I open up by document type, which is where we'll find all our content, we had 503 resources for without Boolean, and with Boolean, we have 187. So much more narrow, so much more specific. This is where we get the benefit of everything. Now, in terms of finding out what's the right resource and what's the right content we're looking in, well, the benefit here is now we can narrow it down by the left-hand side. Now, across these three platforms, especially Westlaw, Lexis, and CCH, you can narrow down by the left-hand side. And it is so important to remember to narrow by the left-hand side. So you'll see here, as we scroll down in Westlaw, you have your publication type, which if we open that up, it says, okay, are you looking at commentary? Are you looking at law journals? Or are you looking at Laws of Australia? Now, this is really important because Laws of Australia on its own is a legal encyclopedia. Legal encyclopedias are the be-all and end-all to your information. Why do I say this? Because it actually will be, right, we're on the fence. We're neither going to give you a biased comment and we're not going to lead you in a direction. We're just going to tell you this is the law, this is the specific act, and these are the relevant cases that can actually define what we're looking at here. So if we think, right, an electronic signature is any kind of signature used in an electronic communication, for example, right? We need this explained. Open up this piece of encyclopedic information, This is like Wikipedia, guys. This is Wikipedia for law, laws of Australia. And the same goes for an encyclopedia on Lexis called Halsbury's Laws of Australia. I'll show that in a minute. But both of those are Wikipedia for law, and it's just mind-blowing. So if you think I'm going to go Google, don't think I'm going to go in law encyclopedias, which are Laws of Australia and Halsbury's. Okay, so you'll notice here an international, so it's just giving us a quick paragraph to describe this information and taking us to various other paragraphs that you need to look at. How do I know it's a paragraph? Because in law, anything that's paragraph related is in a square box, square brackets. And that is confusing because cases are in square brackets, but cases are quite specific. They look different, okay? Cases have the 20, the year in the square brackets. Whereas paragraphs, they actually have number, dot, number, not dot, number. That's how we know the difference. So if I was to jump to this paragraph, 920, from chapter 8, you can see here I'm getting a bit more of a thorough description about this electronic communication here. I'm getting given cases. This is all international cases too, so it's really useful. And then if need be, sometimes journal articles and further commentary will come up from in here. Now, if you do need to go back into the entire chapter, the benefit of Westlaw is you look to the left-hand side and you can see here, oh, look, this is the flow of where I've come. So it's saying, right, you've started in chapter 8, which is contracts specific, and then looking at chapter 8.9, which is electronic contracts, and then we're looking at the part 6 of that. So if I go back to clicking on that part 6 here, open that up, I can then delve down into various other paragraphs. This is the benefit of your left-hand side. If I go back a couple of steps, so that's the encyclopedia. I just want to quickly cover a couple of just the commentary side of how I was talking about what's the most relevant, commentary source to narrow down to. I scroll down to the publication type and I say commentary. Scrolling down again to my left-hand side, I need to select on publication name. It is really important for all of you to become accustomed with the publication names. As soon as you leave university and you go into practice, some of you that are already in practice may already start hearing these things. Other lawyers will roll off and say, oh, have you looked at the Australian Real Property Service? Or, oh no, hang on, have you looked at the company receivers and administrators? And you'll sit there and you go, yeah, of course. And we all do that. I do it. And you'll think, well, why haven't I heard of this before? So you'll start your research and you go, oh my gosh, what if I can't find that resource that they were talking about? Note it down, breathe, think about it, put it over across the platforms that you've got access to, and find the publication name like we're doing now, okay? And you'll get used to hearing the same thing over and over again. What I'm looking for in here, though, is a specific one, which I don't think is here. That's okay. So modern contract of guarantee, right? This is a really well-known resource. A lot of companies will have this access. Maybe this is something the lawyer told you to look at. And you'll open that up and say, right, out of the 90 resources that have come up here in Westlaw, I've got 6 specific to electronic signatures about the topic and around modern contract of guarantee. So there's specific authors that will go, right, no, we're looking at this stuff here. And then you'll read through the commentary again, and it'll just reflect what you found in the encyclopedia, and it'll just make so much more sense. Cases will be mentioned in here, journals, other books, other authors, and it just helps clarify what you're looking at. If, for example, we did not know the publication name, but we're happy with our commentary, we use, down the left-hand side, practice area. So you open up the practice area option and you say, no, I'm not looking at property, superannuation, criminal, nothing. I'm looking at contract law specifically. So you come, open up your practice area and select contract. By selecting that, you narrow down to 14 results over the 90. Then you can look at, so under the blue heading in Westlaw here, just under the blue heading in grey is the resource. So where it's come from, what commentary resource are we looking at? That'll be in grey just under the big blue heading. And it's important too when you are doing your guide to legal citation, you know, when you're doing your bibliography, this is where you find the information. Okay, so it's important to note that. It looks like computer contracts is quite important here. So that's good. You'll notice as you scroll through, you'll notice what the most used one is, the most common thing that's come up here. Opening up our results in Lexis, same thing applies, left-hand side. So we'll scroll down and we'll notice here, okay, a couple of journals have come up, more than commentary, which is, it's not bad, that's okay. You know, sometimes one database will be more stronger in something than it is in the other. And this is why it works to have all of them open. So we are looking for commentary. So I'll click on commentary. 6 results. I mean, that's pretty still good to look at. But if you do want to narrow it down, you can either select again that specific publication, and you'll notice here Halsbury's Laws of Australia comes up. So this is Lexis's version of the legal encyclopedia. This is Lexis's Wikipedia. And then we have the Australian Consumer Credit Law, which has come up as well. Again, you can break it down by specific legal topic. So if we say contract law, we might get rid of a few. We got rid of 3. And most of them have come from the Halsbury's Laws of Australia. So sometimes when you are in practice, so some lawyer will say to you, have you looked at Laws of Australia? Have you looked at Halsbury's? A lot of them too, if they've got quite a lot of experience, they will say Halsbury's. So I'm now telling you, I'm giving you clues. When you start your practice anywhere, if someone says, have you looked at Halsbury's? Halsbury's is big. Halsbury's was in the UK, you know, Halsbury's is in the US. Halsbury's is known. It's a word. It's just a term. If you don't know the term, you got to learn it. That's your Wikipedia. Okay. Think Halsbury's, think Wikipedia. You sorted. And yeah, so if we were to open up one of these resources here where our term came up, didn't come up too much in this, but we'll look through it anyway. The main content in Halsbury's, which is a little different to the Laws of Australia Wikipedia version, is that all your information is in these footnotes. So you'll read the paragraph and you go, oh, yeah, cool. Yep, that makes sense. Like it. But all the heavy, hearty content information is in your footnotes. Don't miss these footnotes because the footnotes actually have more explanation in them. Sometimes I've found research and I've successfully been able to give proper research by reading these footnotes, because as much as the words in black here give me an idea of what's being said, the information here in grey is actually explaining it so much better than what it was in black before. This is why this Wikipedia is just, it's mind-blowing. So, rule of thumb here, you might want to start with your Wikipedia. You might want to start with Halsbury's Laws of Australia or Laws of Australia. And this can be all brought down just by searching that term you're looking for. Okay. All right. In CCH, we've already selected our commentary resource. Again, left-hand side. So I've opened up the by document type, which lists out for me what cases, how many cases we've got, how much commentary, a roadmap. Roadmaps in CCH are phenomenal. I don't know if anyone's actually done work in CCH before. I love a good roadmap. So if I was to open up any roadmap here, I can see, right, if I look at the Australian Contract Law Commentary. Ooh. Hi, June. If you look here, we've got our key legislation written down here. You got your key cases, key commentary, and links straight out to the paragraphs. So the roadmap is pretty much just saying, oh, you're looking at electronic signatures. Look what this one resource has got for you, and we'll actually give you links to the pages out to where all that explanation is. Rather than you going through the 187 results, you might just say, well, I am looking, it is contract law related, so I'm going to look at this Australian Contract Law Commentary, which you'll see is just in that little writing. And yes, you might want to say, right, no, I want to see related news on electronic signatures, or I wouldn't mind seeing the Australian Property Securities commentary on electronic signatures. Now, CCH's commentary, I'm biased here. I think their commentary is just, wow, it's phenomenal. I love this commentary. It's just so to the point. It lists out cases that Lexis and Westlaw actually do not use and do not mention. And the way it's written, it's just so accurate. You know, it's I feel Westlaw and Lexis can be quite legal, very, you know, very proper, very fine, refined, and that's great. You know, I'm not putting anything against either of them, but CCH are just like to the point, like, no, we're no mucking around here. This is this is that, this is why. And you'll notice too, whenever you are reading commentary in CCH, please look to the bottom of the page where it tells you it was last reviewed. Just because this says 2014 doesn't mean it's old. If this was old or archived, there's a massive disclaimer that comes above the title. Okay, so do not stress. If this was out of date, you would be notified straight away. But this is important, especially when you're doing, again, your AGLC citating, you know, when was it last reviewed? That's important to know as well. Okay. So back to the commentary space. So I've just showed you roadmaps because roadmaps are just, why not? You got to use them. So if I go back to the commentary tab, just to the left-hand side here, I narrowed down by library. I like to see, okay, what's come up in the competition consumer contract law area, especially because now, you know, this research we're looking at is contract. This is a hypothetical research task, guys. It's not real. But as you can see here, I've selected the competition and consumer contract law, and then I want to look at the contract law in context book. It's one result here, giving us the execution of the note. And again, a nice quick summary of what's come up. If I would need to, at any time, I'm going to go back to all results, and this resets what I've just done. Okay, so we're back to everything we've seen before, back to our document type, select commentary again, and instead of by library, we might want to select by topic, which again does not bring up contract, which is fine, but we've got the duties and levies content there, should we wish to be looking at something a bit different out of the box. Now, just be mindful of how narrow you go with your commentary searching. You might not want to go by topic because if we open up our commentary information here, it can actually explain to us, oh my gosh, here is some information on general condition under the conveyancing law Victoria on electronic signatures. So maybe this goes hand in hand with that contract law topic that we're looking at because it might work with a bit of property stuff too. So again, just be careful with how much you're narrowing because you could be cancelling out a lot of good information. It is important to narrow down, don't get me wrong, but just think outside the box. Once you've got your narrow down, once you've gone to the end of the triangle and you're thinking, oh, I still don't have an answer, come back and don't go by topic, don't go by subject. Just have a look at what's come up. It might surprise you. In Austlii, because we did our results here, so we had 20,000 results, I believe, when we didn't use Boolean, and now we've got 1,000. That's pretty cool. I usually select by database. So rather than seeing by relevance, I like to select by database because then it'll show me, okay, well, here's all my case law that's mixed in with this content here. But as I scroll down the list, I'm taken to, from about here onwards, this is all my journal articles that have come up on this. So this might be worth looking at. Maybe a lot of the time, the Melbourne University Law Review has a lot of content. I don't know, it looks like it's got one document. But yeah, a lot of the university law reviews are on here, which is really handy. Okay. In regards to other Boolean operators, I was going to mention, I'm going to look at that as we move through. Okay, so you'll learn a few new things as we go along. But at the minute, commentary pretty much covered off. Either start at the resource you know, or do a general search across the platform, head to secondary sources in Westlaw, secondary materials in Lexis, and then to your left-hand side, open up by document type and select CCH commentary. Okay, it's the quickest way to get through it. And then narrow down by topic. One more thing I'd like to cover in the commentary space here is practical guidance. Now, I don't know if any of you know practical guidance, but I think it's the most amazing thing that Lexis has ever done. So there's a little guidance tab just across the top. Okay, so we can either click on this or we can click on rerun my search in LexisNexis practical guidance. Now, any tab you click on in Lexis, once you've generated a search, there will be this hyperlink. And it is a very important hyperlink. If this is a topic you've not ever looked at before, if this is something, new legislation, new law to you, new total subject, and you think, I have no clue and I have to have a clue, click on this link because I promise you it's going to revolutionize everything. So as we get to this page, it's still all Lexis, so don't feel confused. We can go back to the Lexis research page at any time across the top, so don't feel stressed. As you can see here, we've got a list of guidances. Practical guidance gives us FAQ cards, really. So they're quick, you remember those cards you used to get at school, uni, and they're like laminated, and it's like one side's got all these facts and the other side's got more facts. This is what this is. Anytime I show my lawyers this, they just go, what? And it's updated all the time. So if I just get rid of this. All right. Contracts, general principles, checklist for the use of electronic signatures. This is a checklist. This is a document you can download straight away and go, right, have I checked for this? Have I checked for that? Is it complying against this section? Is it adhering to what it needs to adhere to? You'll notice as you scroll down, the checklist comes up. So you can see, right, how do I use this checklist? How does it adhere to COVID-19? When do I need to use this? And when it was last reviewed as well, September 2021. These are updated. Like there is not anything on here that's over a year and a half old. This is all very current. So that's a checklist, and checklists are amazing, especially for students, just to make sure that you're getting everything covered. Another good option is to open up your overview of electronic signatures, or the overview of any topic you're looking at. The overview will give you a nice a leading way to go, right, here's the quick understanding of signing documents remotely or electronically. If you'd like to look for more information, see this link. And when you click on these extra links through practical guidance, you're given relevant sections, relevant cases, relevant definitions, relevant forms, relevant precedents, and it's all explaining it to you in a way that you can understand and regurgitate accurately. So as we come down here, scroll down the page, I believe our sections for various other jurisdictions will come up too. So you can see how it's referred to across other jurisdictions. This is why practical guidance is incredible, because it doesn't just fixate on one jurisdiction. It will actually talk across Australia, the whole nation, states and territories included. Gives you further in-depth content. This goes hand in hand with the Wikipedias. Okay, this goes hand in hand with your legal encyclopedias. Here's a list of a few cases. Here's a list of the section. This is all relevant information. Please do not forget practical guidance, as well as your legal encyclopedias, which were Laws of Australia and Halsbury's. Again, like I said, I will be a bit of repetitive, but if I say it enough, you'll remember it. So from here, this is a nice segue into leading us into our case note up and our legislative note up. So from here, I'm going to fixate on section 127 of the Corporations Act. Okay, and I'm going to show you how to do it properly across all platforms, because we want to do a note up. We want to collect as much information as we can without it being too consuming. All right, cool. So I'll scroll back up and we'll go back to the home page of Lexis Home. Now, I did just show practical guidance really quickly, but I'm happy to show it again later. Okay, so I'm just resetting my pages so that we start afresh. It's important with research. Once you've got an answer, start afresh, because trust me, if you saw my tabs every day, it's just, 30 odd and you don't know how I know what's there. All right, so we're starting our legislative note up. Section 127 of the Corporations Act. Now, keep watch, because what I show you is like so cool. So typing S127, Corporations Act 2001, wait for the drop down. Just wait for the drop down. Don't select enter. And we select the first option that comes up. So this option that comes up here is telling me the section that I need to refer to. When I click on it, it takes me to what the section says. Okay. I do not treat this for gospel. If I want to see what a section of an act actually says right now, I go to the jurisdictional website. And in this case, it's Federal Register of Legislation. And I open up the section, read that side by side. I do not treat this information as gospel. Corporations Act updates daily. So just be careful. From here, there's a tab across the top called Citing References. By clicking on this tab, I'm taken to a list of where I see cases referring to Section 127 and secondary sources relating to Section 127. By selecting the secondary sources, again, we treat it like we did the commentary. You narrow it down by publication name and various other information as it appears. Come on. So by publication name, I can see here a lot of ASIC information has come up. You've got your Australian Bankruptcy Law and Practice. So it is important to narrow it down, I guess. Should you know, and you just want to be quite specific and say, actually, I'm looking at, Ford and Lee trusts, maybe. Otherwise, feel free to read what has appeared. Just be careful in Westlaw. There is a lot of content that will appear that's out of plan. Westlaw is going through a bit of a change. So for some of you who haven't seen the new platform in a while, this is just what it is for now. It should disappear soon. But if it is something you need, you guys are students. Call your librarian. They will give you access to everything and anything. You've got it all. As you scroll through, you'll see, okay, look, here's my section. It's coming up quite often. This is a mixture of journal articles and commentary. So it's really, really useful. It is the only platform that you will go across doing a legislative note up that gives you commentary. Every other platform will give us journal articles, but Westlaw is the only platform to give us commentary under a specific section of an act. So just keep that in mind. When you get to your case list, Westlaw and Lexis are the best platforms to see how a case is being treated over time. So the flags up here will be available to you when you open up the result list. But again, this is sorted by the most recent case. This is not the full list of cases. As we go across the Fab Five, you'll see what I mean. So that's Westlaw's legislative note up. Let's jump into Lexis. And our Lexis note up is going to be done in the quick find box by selecting Legislation tab, opening up Corporations Act, typing that in. Whoops. Wait for the drop down. Always wait for a drop down. I know you're eager, but wait. Then we pop in our provision number, which is our section number, 127. Select search. Lexis has generated one result. Perfect. This is exactly, we need one result. Sometimes it'll generate two just to trick you and say, oh, was it in part 2B or is it in schedule 1? So just be careful. Open up the result that's come up. And we scroll to our section. So you can either scroll down or click and drag across the top. Lexis is really cool. And there's a button here, nice hyperlink called View Legislation Citator. A lot of you may miss this. A lot of you have probably seen it before and never clicked on it. Tonight, I'm clicking on this button and it's going to take us to information all capturing content on section 127 of the Corporations Act. So as I scroll down my document, or I could click on the highlighted links here to jump me down the page. So either way, you have the first box that appears for your secondary materials is annotated legislation. This is telling us where specifically 127 has really been delved into, like really gone fine-tooth comb. We're going to explain every section, every subsection, and we're going to talk about it. That's what annotated legislation is. It's gold. Put this, the big bolded text in your library catalog, look for the book, look for the resource, go to the paragraph number. I kid you not, it's going to be gold. Anything that's in this annotated box area is the place you'd want to start. If there were hyperlinks to it, it means you've got it. There's no hyperlinks to it. You've got to look elsewhere. Right. Under that is the encyclopedia. Halsbury's. Again, he's here. Halsbury's will never leave you alone from here on out. Your law career, Halsbury's will always follow you. I promise you. From here, you can delve into that extra encyclopedic information should you wish. I usually say, stay away from it when you're at this stage. Normally when you get to this stage of doing a legislative note up, you should know a little bit more of the content, and you should have already seen some encyclopedic information about what you're looking for. Okay. Otherwise, if you start here and you go through Halsbury's, it's a minefield. So just be careful. Under the commentary box is other resources that have referred to 127. At the start of the session, I did say, where's your Austin and Black or your Ford Corporations Law? As we scroll down this list, I have no doubt Ford's Corporations Law will come up. Yeah. Ford's Principles of Corporations Law. In any practice, you will either have access to Austin or Ford. Funnily enough, Ford and Austin they're both authors, by the way. Sorry. These are authors I'm talking about. These are surnames of authors. Ford is a huge barrister solicitor. He's all about the corporations law, and so is Austin. And then there's a final one called Ramsey. In this resource, Ford, Principles of Corporations Law, all three of them came together to talk about this information. It's just amazing. And then Austin went and did his own one with Black. The reason I'm explaining it in these terms is because lawyers actually explain the resources like this. So when you are in practice, or when you are looking at something, they'll say, oh, have you gone to Ford's? And you'll go, oh, yeah, I know Ford Corporations Law. Or if they go, have you seen Austin? You know what they're talking about. Every subject, every legal subject has their own specific big author. So I'm just giving you the corpse ones because everyone does a lot of corporations law as they go. As you scroll down past all this information here, you've got your textbooks and journal articles as well. Okay. So all these hyperlinks take you out to the relevant journal article you need, and it's all law related, so it nicely meshes together. Shashir and Fifoot, oh my God, they're amazing. Yes, it sounds like Alice in Wonderland. That's how I remember Shashir, because he's a law of contract. He's pretty on point too. But again, copy and paste these into your library catalog and just borrow the book, read the paragraph, have a look at it. It might even be electronically available and it's just not connected this way. Universities. What exactly is the commentary? Okay, so commentary exactly, rather than the book is talking about a specific topic and staying true and giving a bit of a story in a way, whereas commentary is like, hang on, this is the law, this is the act, these are the regulations, this is who set it up, and this is the relevant cases. Commentary is really like it's pretty much black and white. Whereas the book, it goes, oh, well, we've got comments from this author and we've got comments from this other journal article, and it's just a whole like big comparative essay. So commentary is just like to the point. You're looking at this section, here's it explained. You know, certain authors are very skilled at this information. They've got the expertise. The commentary is in there. It doesn't need anyone else disputing it and referencing it and talking about this, talking about that. That's not to say either of them are not helpful, but commentary is just pretty much black and white. And then you scroll down to your cases, and it shows you how the cases were treated as you scroll down. Again, this is not the full list of cases on section 127. All right, moving along. It's a bit difficult in CCH. It doesn't have a note up option. So I'm just going to close off my tabs here because we don't need this anymore. So what I'm going to do is use Boolean. So I'm going to say I'm looking for 127 within the same paragraph. So that's W/SEN for sentence. If you wanted to look in the same paragraph, you would use W/PAR for paragraph. Okay. But we're looking at within sentence of, again, quotation marks, Corporations Act 2001, hit enter. Now, how do I know what's the right thing? As we scroll down the left-hand side, under our document type, we're going to select, legislation. No, there we go. My bad. So there's a button called Finding Aids. You're staring at me and I just didn't click on it. The Finding Aids will actually take me to certain resources that I've actually seen. Oh, wait a second. I think I know what they're talking about. They'll say, right, rather than you having to delve through all this information, come to my index and I'll show you where section 127 was mentioned. So this is helping us go through all the commentary that's come up. And it's saying, right, this Finding Aids knows I'm looking at legislation specifically, and it's going to take me to the relevant information here. So I'm going to open up the finding list for the Australian company law cases. By opening this up, I scroll down to where it says Corporations Act. There's my section 127 all grayed out for me, highlighted there. And there's my paragraph number. Open that up and it takes me to a case that talks on 127. In this case, I probably guarantee it won't have come up across Westlaw and Lexis. So there's a bit of a gold find there. It's just a bit difficult to locate information in CCH, but it is still so important to not forget it. Rather than searching across the top in the search bar using your Boolean operators to try and find something, I recommend opening up your browse area to list all the publications in the subject area here. Given it is the Corporations Act, I'm going to open up, is it company? Yeah. So I'm going to open up, when I say the case comes up, do I mean the precedent? No. The case, it's a judgment. So what just came up before was a judgment talking to and mentioning section 127 of the Corporations Act. Okay, a precedent is completely different. So just so you know. I hope I haven't confused you. We'll cover precedents in a minute. So just so you know what the difference is. Thank you for that question though. So what I'm trying to show you here is going to a resource that will actually pick up a bit more commentary on section 127 without me having to search it. So under the Company and Securities Law is where a lot of the Corporations Act content is on CCH. And you'll open up the Corporate Practice Manual. So just click on the plus button there. And as you scroll down, there is a legislation finding list. So in any commentary resource that you open up within CCH, if you are looking to do a legislative note up, look for the legislation finding list. We've got our Commonwealth button. As we scroll down, this may not have been displayed because I didn't say within paragraph. I was looking within sentence. So if I open this up now here, yep, so there's 127, and then there's a few subsections here too. So if I open up paragraph 5009, I'm given that content here. So this works across all commentary resources in CCH. And finally, because we are looking at the Corporations Act, this works for the Corporations Act, what I'm about to show you, and also the Fair Work Act. So for anyone that's doing a bit of employment work, pay attention because CCH has an awesome pinpoint option. So we'll open up pinpoint. Again, company and securities law was where our information is going to be. And then you've got this hyperlink here called Australian Corporations Legislation. Here showing us, are you looking at 127? Cool, we can put that in here. Type in 127, hit go, and there's this beautiful hyperlink here called the Australian Corporations Act Partner for Section 127. What this does is it puts together all commentary for Section 127, your precedents, we'll look at in a minute, it's all right, all the cases that come up, if there are any ASIC regulatory guides, any ASIC legislative instruments, takeovers panel or forms. This is a hidden gem. Not a lot of people know this about CCH, and it's only available for the Corporations Act and the Fair Work Act. So if I open up a precedent here, this precedent here is pretty much like a checklist, giving us a bit of a disclaimer as to, I think if it's, got to be used with caution. So this is a resolution at board meeting to authorise method of affixing the seal. So a precedent is pretty much like, okay, what are my instructions on if I need something signed? Who needs to be present? Certain rules, really laying out certain rules. And this is the way of it. Whereas a judgment, what we saw before, was mentioning Section 127 of the Corporations Act. Precedents and judgments are a bit different. So it's moving forward when you are looking at talking about case law that's on point. It's hard because you can't really call it a precedent. You've got to call it the leading law, if that makes sense. A lot in practice, it can be quite confusing. So just think on your explanation there, okay? Because the precedent it's like if this case was it. No one's ever going to dispute this case. No one's ever going to throw this case out. And that doesn't happen in law because every case gets disputed. Every case gets questioned. All right. Our legislative note up in OSLI. Opening up OSLI, there's a button in the red ribbon called Law Site. It's a form that sits over the top of OSLI. It's so beneficial. We'll type in Corporations Act 2001, Section 127, and search. Giving us a list of cases. It's 292. The only database that came close at the minute was Westlaw with 262 from memory. So that came quite close. It just skipped 30 of them. I don't know why, but it just does that sometimes. OSLI will capture every single little one of them. Westlaw, Lexis, and CCH go, oh, wait a second. We don't need to get all of them because only some of them actually go into 127 in depth and make sense. Whereas OSLI goes, I don't care. Here's what was mentioned. I'm not leaving anyone behind. It's cute. But that's what OSLI does. As I scroll down the bottom of this list, always scroll to the very end of this list because you will find law reform documents and law journal articles in this list. Now, I could have easily have gone into OSLI. Let's do a new tab. I could have easily done what everyone does and said, right, 127 Corporations Act. Or looked for it in the drop-down area, but I'm just going to do this for a bit of fun because it's a bit more Boolean. So just the space between 127 and my quotation marks is recognizing and in OSLI. So you don't need to put and there. We've got 2 documents. Not bad. It's not true, but okay. I'm going to put the term near in. The term near is telling OSLI, find number 127 within 50 words of my phrase, Corporations Act 2001. Hopefully this regenerates. 516 documents. It's amazing. If you click on this little grey button here, it says show excerpt. I remember a law grad showed me this a few years ago, and I was like, I had no idea this existed. It blew my mind. It actually gives you in depth your search terms and shows you where they came up within. And you'll notice the number 50 is coming up. Don't stress. It's because the word near is representing 50 words. So it's pretty much an algorithm. For those of you who are mathematically inclined, it's 50 /- -50. It's weird. So that's why the word near exists, because that's the whole algorithm in one. I'm such a nerd. But this is what we love about legal research, because it does these little quirky things and we can get to the content quicker. Again, go by database, so you can narrow it down by which court maybe, or if you're looking for that law journal material as well. I'm showing you both of these side by side because I do prefer the table format. For me, it's like, okay, cool, here's the list. It's all related to 127. I'm going to get the right information. Whereas I feel as though when I come to Ostley and do a general search across here and I'm getting the by relevance page, it's too much information. I get hyperventilating and it makes me hate legal research. So I'm giving you certain ways to get to this quicker. Our final platform, Jade, again here, this is really cool. So you'll type in S127 Corporations Act, if I spell it right. Wait for the drop down again. I know you're all eager to hit enter, but wait and select the option that says show citations. When you do that, yes, and I'm logged in as me. You all can log into Jade. You can all get a free account because you're students. I recommend doing it. It's free. There's nothing you have to pay for. It's phenomenal. I would do it if I were you. And it shows you here an awesome list of all the cases mentioned. So Jade is telling you it's found section 127, any subsection, 1,193 times in 303 documents. Okay. Now, if I wanted to, I could be really specific and say to Jade, I would actually rather see subsection 1. This is the only platform where a subsection works. And it's mind-blowing. So rather than searching across 127 specifically, maybe subsection 1's more important to me. And I'm given 142 documents rather than 300 to run through. I can then edit my search. I love Jade for this fact. I can then say, right, I'd like you to see as a catchword, I want to see electronic signatures from that list of, results, and then hit filter. There might be nothing. There might be something. This is new to me tonight too. Come on, Jade. God, I'm really making it think. Oh, nothing. Cool. Well, we tried. I mean, I could go back and edit the search and hit, try and search for signatures, but that's not going to happen right now. Any questions so far? Anything? You're probably overwhelmed, and I don't blame you. It's okay. I'm here. We'll all get through this together, and you'll just be like, oh my God, so far so good. Thank you. Our final thing we're going to touch on tonight is our case note up. Please, can I show the light? Oh, don't you worry, Hannah. It's coming up again. It's coming up again. How do we find out more information about different publications? Okay, cool. All right, good questions. We'll circle back. I'm going to start again from the start across all platforms, but we're going to do a case law note up. Now, across this isn't just a random case that I found. This is one of the cases that came up in the law site list for section 127. So we'll just go back. I'm just resetting my pages because it's important to reset when you've done one thing, just reset and start again. So there's this one case that came up, and it was, did I write it down? I did. It was IMC Aviation versus L10. And the citation, when you are looking to do a legislative note up, don't worry about party names. Forget party names. When you're doing legal research, party names will come up anyway. What we will focus on is searching for the citation, the medium neutral citation. So this medium neutral citation is 2011 Victorian Supreme Court of Appeal 248. So here comes those party names. They've automatically come up. So I said IMC Aviation v. Alton. And this was something that was picked up from Lawsite. I'm just going to copy and paste this because I don't have to enter it in across the platforms when we go through them. So opening up Westlaw result, waiting for the drop down, clicking on it. If I do not do that, I'm actually telling Westlaw to search for 2011 and VSCA and 248. So just be careful. If you want to do that, make sure you put it in your quotation marks rather than just clicking on the drop down. Please be careful. From here, we're given our judgment. We can start reading it straight away. What you want to know about is viewing the original judgment. So that's in a Word doc format, which is standard across case law in Australia. When you need it for court hearing, you need to find the authorised version. Now, the authorised version across the top is the Victorian reports. By clicking on your other versions drop down, you're given links out to the Victorian report version and the federal court version. This is so important. I cannot count the many times, even throughout my career, legal research has been done, compiled by others, and they've got it wrong, provided the original judgment and not the authorised version. Having done that, the case has been thrown out completely. Judge is unimpressed. We got it wrong. Case is thrown out. It's happened on the other side too. So it's really important to get this happening over and over again. You have to look for the authorised version. Even if you're not needing an authorised version, be mindful of where you can get a link to it. Because a lot of the time, if a lawyer's just wanting to read the case, they'll come back to you 2 days later and go, oh, where's that authorised version? I need it now. So if you're mindful of where it pops up, you can easily go back into the relevant platform and go, cool, yep, got it. Happy days. My rule of thumb, download both. There's no harm in having both of them available. The authorised law version is actually quite prettier, I think, and it's a little bit nicer to read. So just get in the habit of either downloading both or just authorised version. The difference between them is, so say it's like, right, let's open them up. Rather than explaining it, let's just open it so you can see them side by side. All right. We don't want to see the Westlaw version. If they've come up on different pages, Grace, can you please bring them over? All right.
I can, but you need to let me control the mouse. So let me know when. Let me know.
You have control of the mouse. All right, so this is pretty version, guys. Pretty. And Grace is going to bring over the other version. Oh, no, that's still the PDF. That's not what I wanted to see.
Oh, sorry. That's what you downloaded.
That's okay. Can you take this back to the other screen?
Yeah, I'll just do the desktop. But you will see everything else that I have open, so sorry.
Sorry, guys.
We can make that bigger if you want.
Yep.
You can request access again.
I have to. Cool.
Cool.
How do we make this big? All right. I'll show you the hang on. Let's bring it up in law site. So law site citation 2011 BSCA 248. Okay. Opening that up. Here's my RTF. It's probably opened up in a different way. Anyway, the Word version's not pretty. Word version is not footnoted. This is footnoted. There's more editorial notes throughout the authorized version. So it's giving you a little bit more thorough content before the judgment begins, giving you a bit more description as to what was held, what was defined. It's a little bit more clearer. Everything's paragraphed properly. There are little paragraph notes as you scroll through, whereas in the original Word document that's downloaded, it's a different look and feel. Everything's been recentered, reorganized, and it's just a little bit more clearer. Judges prefer this version. Sorry to go in a bit of a wonky state there, but we'll come back to Westlaw. Again, it is important. Authorized version is so important. As you open up your Westlaw results, you've got your history. So the litigation history, it's really important to know where it's come from. This is set up in a beautiful flow graph. I love Westlaw's explanation of this information. I think it's pretty cool. Again, you've got your citing references, so commentary and law journal articles, as well as other cases that noted up our case. Thanks, Grace. See, she's saying it's not pretty as well. We'll click and drag it over so everyone can see soon. As you can see here, further commentary. Again, you can narrow it down by publication name if that's something that you know. Otherwise, you'll see down this column, it's telling you most of this is commentary. There's our encyclopedia, the laws of Australia. Secondary sources usually means other journal articles or bulletins or news related content. But it is also rich talking about our case. So it's nice that there's one-stop shop for this. Back to Lexis, in our quick find box, much the same as how we did for legislation, we've got our case option. And this is going to take us to case base, which I'm sure a lot of you have heard case base. If you haven't, that's another term from Lexis, using case base here to identify and find our case. So by clicking on that, you'll notice the Victorian reports and the federal law report versions are not highlighted, but there is an option to have the Australian law report version. The only reason you would supply this version, the Australian law report version, is because you actually do not have access to the other two versions. The version you need for court will always be the first version that appears in the list, which is Victorian reports. That will always be the one you need. And if you cannot provide it, you provide the next best thing. Okay, that's rule of thumb. As we scroll down this list here, we get given our abstract, our catchwords. Sometimes there's words and phrases judicially defined, which is good. What do the acronyms stand for? Beautiful. So the CLR is the Commonwealth Law Reports. The ALR is the Australian Law Reports. There is a guide to abbreviations. Cardiff. This Cardiff abbreviations is phenomenal. I use it still to this day if I have never seen an abbreviation in my life. So in this case, we're looking at the FLR. We don't know what that stands for. Search it. Thank you, Grace. Yes, the AJLC will explain it too, but this is incredible, especially for in CCH before I saw a PCLC. So you'd put that in here and find out what the abbreviation stands for. Look to our jurisdiction, which is Australia, and that's the federal law reports. you'll type that into your library catalogue to find out where the federal law reports are. Okay. But I mean, you're all now going to be avid legal researchers and have all these platforms open, and one of them will actually have a link out to the authorized law reports. See you all nodding. Again, as you scroll down this list here, our Lexis has provided us a paragraph listing. So from the case we're looking at, which is the IMC aviation case from 2011, we can actually identify what paragraphs have been noted up, which is really cool. So there might be a particular paragraph after reading the judgment that you're looking at, and it could be paragraph 45. There are 4 cases to speak to paragraph 45. So rather than delving through all the cases citing, which is 45 cases, we're looking at, we're looking at specific ones, which is really handy sometimes. So keep that in mind. It's really cool. And then you got your publications referring to this case. So extra law journal articles, pretty cool. And then everything that was considered by this case and the legislation too. Across the top, what we did was we quickly popped this into LawSite. So Hannah, I think you asked me how I did it before. For the legislation considered, I just placed in the Corporations Act down here in the legislation considered area with my section and hit search. And then I'll do the same for our case. So here we've got all our cases referring to this case. And again, more law journal articles referring to this case, which is really cool. You got your JADE to do this as well. So again, just type in medium neutral citation. The fact that I don't need my square brackets around this, your medium neutral citation is like a barcode. It's a unique identifying number. No other case is going to have the same one. And if it does, there's a big issue. There's been a big misrepresentation. And that's happened to me already once. I think it must have been 6 years ago. I brought it up on Ostley and it brought up too many results. I thought, no, there shouldn't be 15,000 results on this. And I did a bit of research and found out that some clerk had done it wrong and given 2 cases the exact same case number. And it was bad. It was very bad. And it hadn't been picked up for a very long time. So, woo, to legal research. As you can see here, we've got our citing sections, or as we scroll down the judgment, what will appear are these beautiful green little tabs here telling us what case that that our certain paragraph has been noted up. So we've got 2 citations for paragraph 14. Open that up, and it's giving us a really good idea of where it's come from. I love JADE. It's quite thorough in that fact. Okay. Last but not least, it was CCH. CCH I find annoying to do a case note up on here. But again, you would use your booleans, put in your square brackets because it will have a heart attack. 248. There'll probably be no results on this. I really don't think so. 1. Beautiful. So there's that. Was it this? I wonder if that's the same case that came out before. Probably not. But here's a nice case here. You can see that it's been reported in the Australian Industrial Law of Reports. So you'd pop in this abbreviation into the Cardiff Index to Legal Abbreviations, so you know, and you'll be able to download that. I think it's in hard copy in every collection anyway, so you'll be able to get it there. That sort of concludes what I wanted to show, like your quick tips and tricks and everything in regards to your publications and really knowing them. It comes with a lot of practice of going through your legal research. When it comes to your Boolean operators, please make sure you could put in. So we're looking for signatures or signs. There is an exclamation point that allows for your terms to be searched at various different ways. This is available. This type of wildcard, really. The exclamation point works in Westlaw and Lexis. So if we say signatures and contract, so I might say within 15 words of contract and not lease, for example. This is the effective use of Boolean. Think of what you want to see. Think of you don't want to see. Think of how close you want the terms. Think of how far away you want the terms. So by just saying, so you'll notice here by using my exclamation point, I've been given in my results, well, because I put not in capital, it shouldn't have picked up the word not, but hey, isn't that great? But you'll notice here that that's what's come up. So if I then change my word not and say maybe within 5 words of lease, let's narrow this down a bit. So there's more content that's come up here. Signed the contract to lease on the same day. So this is really property related. I go straight to the secondary resources. I guess in a legal research tip, really stop looking at your cases straight away. Just go straight to the secondary sources, go straight to the commentary, straight to where it's written down and the actual case that's related to what's being spoken about is mentioned. There's no point going through the 158 cases and trying to figure it out. Honestly, it'll take too long. So that's why the commentary is there, because it will be quite specific and hard hitting. I'm just going to copy this and put it across into Lexis. Sorry, I'm mindful for time. I could speak about this like for hours. So paste that in there. So again, the exclamation point works in Lexis as well, and it recognizes the / number. Usually number 15 is about a sentence worth and 150 is about a paragraph worth, just so you've got a ballpark figure there. Again, we'll search across everything, and why not, let's paste it into CCH as well. All right. Oh, yep, sorry, yep. So exclamation point does not work in CCH. It's got to be an asterisk, which is just on top of your number 8 button on your keyboard. So changing that up. We've got 103 results. And you narrow it down by commentary, or hopefully, let's practice. No, roadmap's not on here. That's okay. Tried. So there's your commentary here, and you go by topic, and this is more in the contract area there. And go through form. What's come up in Lexis? So don't focus on your cases. It's so easy to, I know, but the secondary sources are there. They're useful, they're helpful. So you'll break it down again and you'll say, okay, cool, the Australian Property Law Journal was picked up first. Then you got your Halsbury's, which is your awesome encyclopedia. Or you can break it down by the actual specific topic of retail property or leases and tenancies. And then that just helps get rid of a lot of other jargon. And because you know practical guidance, and I spoke about it before, you'll open up your guidance tab and get a good overview as to where this was picked up. So our terms come up in the overview of the formation of leases. You've got your general lease inquiries or leases acting for a tenant. I'm going to select this one, this guidance note here, and it's going to give me a nice breakdown of this great information that's come up. It's really useful. I love practical guidance. If I wanted to, I could then rerun the same search in practical guidance so I can get straight into the actual platform focused on practical guidance. So I can see here what's come up. So maybe it's commercial property law. Open that up. Oh, it's another checklist. I keep opening up checklists. This is not what I intend to do. I do not want to open up checklists. Is that another checklist? Yep. Let's go to the overview. Sorry, I really want to just show you what practical guidance does and how cool it is. Pre-contract and contract documents. There we go. This is what we want to see. Thank you, Jones. Oh, sorry, Irina. I saw your surname. Thank you, Irina. But yes, this is pretty much everything in a nutshell over an hour and a half of going through all this content. there is so much more to legal research, and it is a bit of a minefield. But I mean, hopefully these little tips and tricks will get you through and make you feel a little bit more confident with it. If we can go back to now that term legal research, I just want to know if you feel any differently, or if you hate me more for showing you different content. Oh, Hannah, good question. Where can you learn more about Boolean? I will happily send through a document I've created on Boolean operators, what works with what database and what system. I know one of the questions that came up before this session was where to find old case law. In that case, you open up your law guide from RMIT, and there's a foreign cases jurisdiction area. Hein Online and ICLR are the two platforms I use heavily. I think they're the most incredible platforms to locate UK, American, and other foreign jurisdictional content and historical content. So Hein Online and ICLR are just full of history. They go right back to the 1600s. Hein Online, I think, goes back even to the 1400s. Yes, Grace, I'm happy for everyone to have my email address. You all may get in touch with me. You all may find me on LinkedIn. There is, you have access to a whole suite of law librarians, within the ALA group here. We're all happy to be in touch with the students and get you all to the right person. Every university has a specific law librarian administered to it. I believe RMIT, they do have one. I might not put his name in the mud, but there is someone there that can really help you with the legislation here. They set up this guide themselves. But yes, this is legal research is and can be quite overwhelming, but when you put everything together, you'll find that it just comes together so perfectly. I appreciate you all having the time and spending the time with me for this hour and a half. I really hope, if you've learned something new and you can go ahead and try these new things. I will send you notes so you feel a little bit more captured. And this is recorded, so you can go over it anytime. Slow it down. Obviously, a lot of students like to listen at things at double speed. I talk at double speed. You might want to slow it down, pause me at certain points, and just go over it again. But it's been a pleasure, and I wish you all the best. Good luck this year.
Cool. Thank you so much, Anastasia. That was incredible. And I learned so much. And I've been to this research masterclass. I've been once and I've watched one of the recordings. And so this is technically like my third time. And I still feel like I know nothing. That was just incredible. So thank you. I will just give everybody an opportunity to continue asking questions in the chat. Do we have any last questions? Thank you again, Anastasia. That was just incredible.
Very welcome.
So amazed by you.